Well, hello, friends. Hey, hey, hey. Come here, Bonnie. Come here, say hi. Come here. She wants to go outside, so she's just staring at me. Can you come here? Come on. Nope, she's not having it. Anyway, what's up, guys? So I wanted to just pop on and say hi and talk about a couple of things. It has been a while, but here we are. So, hey, Emily, what's up, girl? Anyway, I hope you guys are all doing really well. I know that it's the new year. I haven't live streamed in 2020 here publicly. I do in my group every week, but I hope you guys are doing well and that the year's going well so far. Definitely exciting. I always love any starts, like even just like a new day. Like I just absolutely adore it. So at the end of a day, I'll be like, man, tomorrow is a new day. And I was like, feel super good about that. So a new year is even like bigger and more exciting. And then a new decade on top of that, just a lot of magic and a lot of new starts and a lot of great new energy in the situation. So anyways, I hope it's going well for you guys. I was thinking, I'm like, do I want to just pop on here and do just like an update, or do I want to talk about something in particular? And I feel like the last few times that I've live streamed, it's been like an update versus a topic, and a lot has changed in the last few months, but a lot has also stayed the same. So anyway, what we're going to talk about, if you guys have any questions, you can pop them in the comments as always, but really quickly, I just wanted to talk about the topic of shoulding. So I love it because when I say that, people are like, what'd you just say? Did you say shitting? And I'm like, no, not the same thing. Shoulding. So the reason I like this is because there's a couple of layers to it. And one of them is that obligation piece, that piece of, well, I should go to that because I'm expected to, or I should do this, or I should say this, or I should whatever. And a lot of that comes from, different upbringings, that it's like, whether we think we're being polite, but the truth is, like, I actually did a podcast on this the other day. The truth is, like, are you really being polite if you're not even like listening to someone after you think you should ask them how they are, and then you ask them how they are and they don't even you don't even pay attention to what the fuck they say back to you? Like, is that actually you being polite? No, not at all. And a lot of that comes from not being present and just kind of going through the motions. But like, when you start thinking about what happens when you're saying yes or moving forward with things that just because you think you should, you're suppressing so much of your own desires and so much of your own light and so much of your own energy, and it's really depleting. And so what we don't realize is happening psychologically and energetically is that when you are saying yes to things that aren't serving you, or saying yes purely out of obligation, you are literally suppressing those things, and you're like, oh man. And it brings you down. It causes depression. It causes a lot of things, but it prevents you from being fully authentic and fully present and fully yourself in any situation. When you're doing it out of obligation, the energy is just yuck, and it definitely is draining. So keeping that in mind as you're moving forward is a super big piece. When you're saying yes to things, or you're doing stuff even in your own life. So example, like, I did this during the holidays. I took on a way more of responsibility than I needed to in a few situations. And I was just like, it took me having like quite like a heavy moment to realize I was like, none of this is mine. Like, none of this shit that I've decided to pick up and deal with the last couple of weeks are mine. And that's when I realized, well, I was doing it because I thought I should, and because of past behaviors or past experiences. So it was really interesting to realize that. And then if you think about too, like in your life, like how many things have you made decisions about doing, or like purchases, or, the way you operate every single day because it's what you think you should do. Gary Vee talks about a lot about this here recently, where, and like my life is a perfect example of this. If I would have done everything that I was supposed to, like that's another one, you're shoulding, or like you're supposed to, then my life would look very, very different than it does now. And so he talks about how if you are making decisions based upon what you actually want and out of your own actual like situation and what really is serving you and your best, like you being your best human, not only is it going to impact everyone else around you in a great way too, but it's also going to, it's just like freeing, and it allows you to allow that pressure off to fully actually shine and be who you are. And what happens, like example is like, okay, get married, buy a house, have kids, get the job, or get the job, get married, buy a house, have kids. Like that's what you're supposed to do, right? Like that's the way you're supposed to do it according to, the world or whatever. All of which I have done none of what I was supposed to do, which is amazing to me, but of course creates a lot of other things that I have to deal with as far as like conversations with people constantly that don't understand my life because yeah, anyways. But it's just interesting because it's a freeing thing, but it's something that I think we all get caught back up in sometimes, in that like that obligation piece. And because we feel like it's the way to be kind, it's the way to be nice, it's the way to show up for people. But I want you to question, like, is that really even true? Or is it actually doing everybody a disservice when you're showing up not 100% in, or not on the right feet, or not with the proper intention? Like if you don't really want to do something and you're doing it out of pure obligation, like that shines through in your behavior and the way like you feel when you get there, every piece of it, right? So there's a couple of things. Like there are things that like I may not be super stoked about doing, but I'll do because my intention around it is to be a good friend, a good family member, a good business owner, whatever. And so you can change the energy and change the intention around it so that when you show up at those things, you're behaving differently, you feel differently, the outcome is different. So it's not something out of obligation, it's something that you can look at and say, I'm making the decision to show up for X, Y, and Z and this way. And I'm happy for doing that because of X, Y, and Z reasons. So having that present, I mean, it's just so important. Oh my God, I feel like a freak. I'm sitting here messing with my teeth. I had like these hemp heart seeds or whatever all over the top of my little dessert just a minute ago. And they're like, I feel like they're in my mouth still, which is weird. Yes, Emily, I need more Emily in my life. I haven't talked to you in quite a while. Hey, Heidi. Yes, Jennifer and Heidi, it's definitely easy to be guilty of that because we fall into it and we do definitely feel obligation. I know a lot of men do because I have a lot of male clients, but I know that this is definitely a big thing for women is we do things out of obligation. We take on a lot more than we need to, things that aren't necessarily our responsibility. And because of that, we create resentment, we create burnout for ourselves. We create a lot of problems that actually are negatively impacting the people around us and ourselves, when our whole purpose of taking on all of these things is because we think that we're doing everybody this great favor, when in reality, by working yourself into a place where you're resentful, you don't feel well, like you're definitely like burning yourself out, it's actually doing the exact opposite of what your intention was most of the time. So if you let this get out of control, it gets out of control, and it gives you the exact opposite effect that you were going for. So I just wanted to make a little note. Yes, Mason, I'm glad that resonates. Emily, I mean, girl, here's the thing. Here's your little reminder. Here's your little, hey, keep myself in check. If you didn't listen to that podcast, I actually don't even fucking remember which one it was. I think it might have been episode 3. But I specifically said in it, like I gave a couple of things that you could do, but just keep yourself in check and allow yourself a couple of minutes before you say yes to things, or you basically take on a responsibility, or you take on something as your own. Like give yourself a moment to think about it. Give yourself a moment to respond in what's appropriate and what's actually going to work. Yes, there's a lot of power behind the word no, and I think what we need to let go of, and what especially women in particularly, we feel so fucking bad for saying no. Like we feel like we can't say no. And it's just a female thing. I think everyone goes through that, but it tends to be more primarily female. So anyways, the whole thing is that I want you to keep in mind is that you get to decide. And in those moments of saying no, it doesn't mean you're being mean. Like if you're saying no out of spite and out of resentment and out of anger, then sure. But if you're saying no, or you're saying not right now, or hey, that doesn't really work for me, and you're saying it from a place that's truly like compassionate and serving you and coming from a good place, it's not going to be received well. And you're not in any way, shape, or form being rude. So keep that in mind. Your intention fucking matters so big. Your intention matters so much when you're speaking things and you're sharing things or you're showing up. Your intention will allow that feeling to be there. Like, we are all energetic beings. We all have feelings. You can pick up on some of that stuff with people, but you can usually pass that along to the next person, like when you're having a conversation with them and being able to put that out there. So anyway, I hope that that's helpful and makes sense. But just remember, if you're coming from a place of love and compassion and you're serving you, it's ultimately going to serve everyone around you for the better as well. We don't have to be everyone's savior. It ends up being a noose around the neck instead of everyone suffers. Absolutely. If you feel like you potentially are in a spot where you're trying to be everyone's savior, I would highly suggest reading the book Codependent No More, because it might be just what you need to hear. Anyways, I love you guys, and I'm super happy to be here and see so many of you pop up alive. I love it. I love it. As always, if you like the video, please give it a thumbs up and share it if you think other people will benefit from the message. But you'll be seeing this face a little bit more frequently. I had a guy the other day, by the way, real quick. So I shared a video from like 3 years ago, and somebody checked on me, and they're like, oh my gosh, are you okay? And I'm like, yeah, I'm fine. Why? They're like, well, you just look like way different. You just look not maybe as happy or something. And, you know, nowadays in your videos than you did 3 years ago. And I'm like, well, I mean, I am 3 years older than I was then. You know what I mean? Like, yes, my life is completely different, but I've also, you know, gotten 3 years older. And I mean, I'm still suffering from skin issues. Probably worse now, actually, than I was then. But anyway, it was just really funny. And I was like, thanks for that. Like, it has nothing to do with my life being more difficult. It's just that I get older. Anyways. And I'm not tan. I need to be tan. I need to focus on that. That would be great. But anyway, so sorry if I don't look as good as I did 3 years ago. All right, you guys, enjoy the rest of your Tuesday. I will talk to you soon. Bye.